Hello, I'm Guru Scott. Today I'm going to do a comparison for bass amp, the reissue Ampeg V-4B versus a Marshall JCM800 lead series amp. Now this amp actually is a little different than most of the lead series amps. I believe it has a larger output transformer because I believe it was originally made to be a bass amp, and it also came with 5881s. So when I wrote to the Marshall factory about this a few years ago, they said that only a few of them had 5881s, and my understanding was it was to give it more of a bass voice. So I've actually switched it over to EL34s. I rebiased it and changed some of the bias circuitry. I followed some instructions I got from Marshall on it. But it makes a really great bass amp, and I thought I would compare this against the V-4B. And the reason being is, in my opinion, the Marshall amp has a really good musical sound to it. I can't really explain it. It's hard to describe, but it's musically very nice. And I'll be playing through a couple of Altec Lansing 417 speakers that I've had since the early 70s. And so I'll give you a flavor for both and let you have a listen and see what you think. And what I'm really saying is, vintage, reissue. This is not really a true reissue. It doesn't have 7027 tubes. This is a true vintage amp. This is about 30 years old, and it's pretty dang awesome. It weighs about 80 or 90 pounds. It's the heaviest amp I've ever had except for the SVT. And it's heavier, I believe, than my PV-VB2. And it's only 50 watts RMS, but man, it is a really awesome amp for bass, in my opinion. So I see them on eBay from time to time. They're pretty expensive, but you never know if you're going to run into one at a pawn shop or whatever. So it might be something to consider. $1,300 for this. You could probably get one of these maybe in the same price range, and you might have a better system. So I'm going to let you hear both of them. I'll put the microphone down here. I'll play one and then the other, and let you kind of have an idea of what they sound like, and then I'll come back and make a conclusion. Okay, so in conclusion, by the way, that was Gibson Ripper bass I used, and I was just changing the 4 tone settings. I didn't want to make any adjustments here. So what's the point of this video? The point of this video is this is supposed to be a reissue 1970s sound, and in my opinion, Ampeg missed the mark. It has a dry sound. It just doesn't sound musical to me. My original V-4B did sound really, really good. It was a wonderful amp. It was rated 100 watts RMS, but it actually put out around 135 when we tested it. This one here, I'm sure it's just 100 watts RMS. Doesn't matter for me. The main thing is the sound. This old vintage Marshall here has, in my opinion, a great sound. Now I know it was a little trebly. I can actually adjust the bass and everything to make it sound much more like a Fender Bassman or a VB2 PV or something like that. I just kind of wanted to give you a flavor of the vintage, real true vintage versus fakey vintage. I think Ampeg missed the mark, is all I'm saying. So if I was going to buy a brand new amp today, I'd actually buy a PV VB2. You can check out my other video on that. I would not buy this for $1,300. That's what I paid for this, 1,300 bucks. Way, way too expensive for what you get. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Tschüss.